children, good morning all and welcome to digital class Siddipet Vidyamitra YouTube channel. I am Jyoti CRT English KGBV Akkanpet. Today I would like to revise question tags with you. Question tags can replace simple yes no questions, but they can also reinforce the statement that you just made and get the listeners to agree with you by the end of this video. You will have a clear idea of how to formulate question tags and how to use that. So, are you ready? Okay, we will begin. Question tags. Let us see what is a question tag is. A short question added to the end of your statement to change it into a yes/no questions. Question tags are formed with the auxiliary or modal verb form, the statement and the appropriate subject. For example, it's lunchtime. The question tag is, isn't it? It is not raining. Is it? Notice that when the statement is positive, the tag is negative. And when the statement is negative, the tag is positive. Also notice that the negative tag is in contracted form, isn't it? It's possible to you the form is it not peculiar sound to former, so keep it to the contractions. Now, like ordinary complete questions, question tags are formed with the right auxiliary. So, it's important to review the auxiliaries for each type of statements. Let's do that now. So, let's look at the formulation of question tags for statements where you can see the auxiliaries in the positive statements. The first group is the verb to be and the present and the past continuous tense. For example, she is walking, isn't she? And the negative statement, she isn't walking, is she? Second example is, we're late, aren't we? We aren't late, are we? We aren't late, aren't we? We aren't late, are we? He was hungry, wasn't he? He wasn't angry, was he? And the last example in this group, they were lying, weren't they? They weren't lying, were they? The next group where you can see the auxiliary in the statement is sentences with will and modal verbs. For example, you'll be there, won't you? And the negative statement is, you won't be there, will you? I can go, can't I? I can't go, can I? It could happen, couldn't it? It couldn't happen, could it? We should say, shouldn't we? Shouldn't say, should we? He must exercise, mustn't he? He mustn't exercise, must he? The next group where we can see the auxiliary in the statement is the present and past perfect tenses. Let's have a look at the examples. They've finished, haven't they? And in the negative statement, they haven't finished, have they? She's done it, hasn't she? She hasn't done it, has she? You'd seen him, hadn't you? You hadn't seen him, had you? Right. Now, listen at the statements where you cannot see or can't see the auxiliaries in the positive statement. This includes sentences, the present and the past simple tenses. For example, they live in Spain, don't they? They don't live in Spain, do they? She always smiles, doesn't she? She never smiles, does she? Notice that the word never creates a negative sentence and therefore requires a positive tag. And the last sentence in the past simple tense, it snowed, didn't it? It didn't snow, did it? Now, one word to be careful of there is the verb to have and, of course, to have to show an application. It can use these verbs on their own or you can add the verb got to them. If you use them on their own, you need to bring the auxiliary to make you tag. Let's have a look. They have a car, don't they? In the negative, you can already see the auxiliaries. They don't have a car, do they? Now, if you use the word get or got with, these expressions you'd end up with sentences like this. They've got a car. And this time you can use the word have as your auxiliary. They have got a car, haven't they? They haven't got a car, have they? Let's look at the example with the verb to have to. To show an application, you can say, he has to work, doesn't he? Or, he doesn't have to work, does he? If you add the word got into the sentence and say, he has got to work, then the tag becomes hasn't he? And in the negative sentence, he hasn't got to work, has he? Has got to work, hasn't he? He hasn't got to work, has he? There are 3 special tags we should locate before we finish with formulation. The first forma is the tag that follows the expression let's. When you make a suggestion with let's, if you wanted to add tag, you shall we. Let's begin, shall we? Even if your sentence is negative, the tag remains shall we. Let's not rush, shall we? The next special tag is a tag after giving an order or making a respect. For example, you could say, do me a favor or do me a favor please. The tag follows will you. Even if your statement is negative, like don't forget the letter or don't forget that letter please, the tag is again will you. And the final special tag you need to aware of is the tag that we use with the verb to be, with the pronoun I. When the sentence is positive because you know the verb, I'm doesn't have a negative construction or contractions. I'm. So we use aren't I. Am right? Aren't I? You can use the for, but you will to for, as I mentioned before. Am right? Am I right? Am I not? For the negative statement, the tag is am I. As you expected, I am not right, am I? Well, that's all for formulation. We can move on to usage. As I said, first usage of question tag is the formulation of a simple yes/no questions. But in this case, you have to use a rising intonation. Let's look at some examples. You haven't seen my key? Have you? Is the same as saying, have you seen my key? You are expect either yes or no answer. No, I haven't. Or yes, I have, it is over there. Let's look at another example. She is coming, isn't she? Is the same as asking a question. Is she coming? Again, you expect either yes or no answer. Yes, she is. Or no, she isn't. Let's look at the third example. He works in a hospital, doesn't he? Does he work in a hospital? You will expect yes or no. He does or no, he doesn't. Now the second usage of a question tag. It is a reinforce a statement you have made and get agreement from the listeners. In this case, you need to use a falling intonation. Let's look at some examples. You haven't slept very well, haven't you? No, I had a terrible night last night. Another example is, she is really friendly, isn't she? Yes, she's so nice to everyone. Another example. He drives too fast, doesn't he? Yes, he's dangerous driver. Right then, let's have a look at common mistakes. The most common mistake is using a simple no or isn't it as a general tag for all kinds of statements. This is possible in some languages, but not in English. You need to formulate the correct tag. Let's have a look. You might hear, it's cold, no? It's cold, no? The correct tag is, it's cold, isn't it? The next one, you have a car, isn't it? The correct tag is, you have a car, don't you? And another common mistake is using a positive tag after a positive sentence and the negative tag after a negative sentence. For example, they haven't arrived, haven't they? As you have learned, because the sentence is negative, the tag has to be positive. They haven't arrived, have they? Or we never go out, don't we? Now remember, that never creates a negative statement. Therefore, the tag has to be positive. We never go out, do we? And the final example, he knows his subject, doesn't he? He knows is positive. So your tag is has to be negative. He knows his subject, doesn't he? Now, one important thing to be aware of is that it's possible to use a positive tag after a positive sentence in every specific cases because a positive tag after a positive sentence spoken with a specific intonation can indicate a strong emotion or message such as anger or sarcasm. For example, if we take the last sentence to be or be corrected. He knows his subject, does he? And we correct it too. He knows his subject, doesn't he? It was circus. He knows his subject, doesn't he? It's a sarcasm. We really don't believe that he does. Another example is, they want to fire me, do they? The speaker has written this way. It means the speaker, he or she is very angry. Now, these are very specific usages. I would recommend you have a go. I just speak aware of their existence. Thank you one and all.